It's like a fucking rocket ship. It's like, holy shit, this is what it used to feel like. It was awesome, man. So I recommend anybody take some time off caffeine. I'm not sure what you need to take off. I don't think it needs to be a full 6 months, but
right.
Take a week or two off and then try it again. Holy shit, it was wild.
When I do it, I'll take some stints off of caffeine as well, and it'll be probably about 2 weeks to a month. It just depends. But it's like, to be honest with you, I start a lot of my workouts even with cardio now instead of caffeine.
Yeah.
Which, listen,
caffeine is one thing, I get that, but like there's also, it's helpful just to get your blood flowing.
Right. Well, people will sit there and they're not wrong, to be clear. Yeah. Like if you want to lose weight, you should be hitting cardio after. But my thing is like, listen,
you wanted the blood flow and the energy.
Exactly. And equally, so I, with my like narcolepsy issue where I fall asleep extremely easy and very often type of thing, sitting, like if I'm still and I'm trying to just focus on reading, I start nodding off.
Sure.
So one of the tricks,
if you move, blood flow, you can
bingo. Yeah. So I'll be on the Stairmaster and it also helps me. I don't know how people fucking do cardio in the gym. I'm like sitting there, I feel like a creep unless my eyes are on the TV. And then I'm like, I don't like watching sports, news, or anything that's playing. Yeah. So then I'm like, I'm going crazy.
Checking out booties here.
Yeah. You know? I'm like, hey, come on, stop. Yeah, I'm like, so like all that shit's going on. Meanwhile, I get into a flow state, but it's like, you're going to be, stumbling and
you hit a groove.
Yeah. And it's like now all of a sudden, this is before 75 hard and all that stuff that push reading.
Yeah.
But it was like, I know I'm not going to read like physically, which is probably one of the best ways unless I do it this way.
Okay.
Equally, when I was
you started reading on a treadmill or at a Stairmaster, reading a book?
Yeah. Okay. So, at first it was the treadmill because the gym in Montana, actually, one of the reasons that I did it too, men, almost everything revolves around sex one way or the other.
Yep.
So I moved to a new area. I also loved moving to a new area because no one has any preconceived notions to you. You don't know people to fall into negative feedback loops. So I go, okay, how am I going to, I realized I was a fucking douchebag and I wouldn't have wanted to be friends with the old me, which means there's probably still some things in me now, but then how do I meet the right people to grow in the direction I want to? So, and equally, I was never like a ladies' man. I was pretty big growing up consistently. It's just, so my thing was also like, now I'm in shape, but I still got to meet people. I don't know anybody here. So how does all of that come around? I got to keep my cardio up. I need to read, but then also, yes, it's a little bit on the weirder side, but I'd rather meet people in the gym after they saw me reading because it's most likely going to be intellectuals. Yeah. It's not going to be these morons or some dumb gym rat.
Yep.
So I wanted to meet friends, but then equally, if a girl sees that, I'm not going to like push too weird on it.
It's a bonus.
Yeah. It's like a nice little bonus. So like equally 2 negatives equals a positive. I hate cardio and I hate reading, but for some reason when I did it together, I don't mind it.
Sure.
So it's kind of like the ice bath. Once I start doing it and I get past the first little bit, I'm solid. So it's funny because, in that people are like, oh, well, how'd you start doing that? And I'm like, to be honest,
just chasing some pussy. Yeah,
exactly. it all comes down to it. And it did work. So
hey, whatever works. It's not crazy if it works, right? Isn't that old Bud Light commercial?
100%.
It's not crazy if it works. If it works, that's all that matters. So that's all. Let's talk about what you're doing now as an entrepreneur. Like you've gone from, the pipe welder to the pipe dream. So what is it that you do? Like what's your primary source of income? What do you do?
So I do media ad buying. So I like to explain it like all those weird ads that you see that you feel like
dick pills and like local MILFs in my local area want to bang, like those kind of ads or what?
Those ones don't make enough money. At least not for me.
Yeah.
But so it's like if you got those ads where you're like, I think they're listening to me, or man, now I'm seeing them like crazy. Yeah. I set those up.
Okay.
Which is...
You bugging my house? How's this work?
Hey, man, it's just... there's so much psychology behind it. There have been like lawsuits where, yes, your phone is listening to you. I'm not turning on mics, right?
Right.
But what it comes down to is, however the data is collected, you're marketing to certain audiences. And then all of a sudden, if you pay attention enough, and it could be only a second's difference, that ad is going to be ran to you more now. Because you don't buy something after seeing it once. Right. It's seeing it multiple times.
Are you saying like if you look on your Instagram, you scroll, they see you stop scrolling for a minute?
That's a measurement.
They'll notice that?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's how long have you liked a post? Similar. For a little bit, one of my clients, he ran an automation business for like e-commerce. And we were the first one to bring this shit to market. For years, I was the only person that was able to keep ads up and stay compliant and everything. And Grant Cardone and my client, he had done an interview. And Grant Cardone was actually an audience I could directly target. So even if you've liked his post, followed him before, all this stuff, I mean, it was insane the amount of money we made. But that's what it comes down to. And like in this world, you're mixing human psychology and data. And you now have to know. Yeah, and you got to know how they all integrate and how you can, at the end of the day, it is manipulation, right? But that's where, as a man, you have to have your morals and values always in line. Because at the end of the day, what we are doing in sales is manipulation. Now, are you using it for good or bad behavior becomes the difference.
Sure.
And that's, where going back to Jordan Peterson, where he talks about the bad thing about smart people is you're really good at deceiving yourselves to look at things. So it's where like you have to anchor yourselves in your morals and values, but to take a step back, man, the media ad buying space, the reason I got into it was I had to start fixing myself. Sure. When I was in, trying to decide on the person I wanted to become. And that's where like the human psychology thing that interests me.
Yeah.
Never did before in high school. I just hate learning and learning in general. I was like, all right, how do I make money with this? Well, there's an interest that I have. I can get into a flow state reading a book about this topic. I would catch myself watching Stanford lectures that people would hope they could just miss and skip out on in my free time.
Yeah, here you are checking them out.
Yeah. So now how can I make money from this? And that's, kind of where things snowballed.
How did you get started? What was day one for you? How did it actually start?
Day one.
You chasing pussy again?
No, the exact opposite. I ended up moving back home. It was like, contracts, they dry up, right? Like the building gets done. So you got to jump on the next contract.
Yep.
And during one of those, I ended up going back home. I was like, I'll just pick up the next contract. And then my goal was to travel around in like a big fancy fifth wheel trailer, a nice truck. That's the pipe welding dream. Make a bunch of money, then buy a house later, so on and so on.
It's so similar to lineman, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's why I was like, we'll get along.
Yeah.
But so I take up a little middleman job because, again, I'm young. I'm like 19 or 20 at the time. And I'm reading a book, and he had talked about if he woke up a certain amount of days, not depressed, not sad, but disappointed in himself as a man for what he was doing and the life that he had, he would quit his job. And he would figure it out because he's done it plenty of times before, and he's trying to figure out what's his ideal lifestyle type of thing.
This is a book you're reading?
Yeah. I can't remember which book.
Sure. So here you are feeling that. Like, hey, I'm not feeling fulfilled. This is not what I want to be.
Oh, and it had been a while.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I wake up another day, and it's longer than what he said he put up with, right? Sure. But I haven't proved it to myself. You know how it is at the beginning.
It's harder to do the first time.
Yeah.
Second time's easier. Third time, fucking give me a reason to fucking quit this job.
I dare you to tell a welder that he's doing something wrong when he's got roll-up fever.
Exactly. You got the red ass. Yeah.
So I had a pipe welding job, and they would send me, this one was just an in-between. It was like 6 days on, 4 days off.
Okay.
They were supposed to send me either New Jersey or New York. And they're like, yo, OSHA just showed up to the New Jersey site. So we're thinking we're going to send you up to New York and just not have anybody on the site till they leave.
Yep.
But they're just like, and I'm like, listen, I get paid as soon as I get into my car. What are we doing? And they're like, hey, we'll just, and I'm like, are you starting to pay me? They're like, no. So I sat there for a couple more hours, and I'm thinking about this book, and I was doing a lot of yoga at the time. So then I do some yoga, and then I'm sitting there like, dude, you're not doing what you know you should do. And I called him, and it was like I was disassociated from everything, but I knew what I had to do. So I called the lady, and she's like, I told you I would call you. Like, she's kind of getting annoyed. And I go,
I'm telling you, bitch.
I go, yeah, you're going to go ahead and have to call somebody else or start getting a ticket for someone else to fly into that job, because I'm not coming again. I quit.
Yeah.
And it was a weird feeling because I didn't quit jobs.
Right.
You know?
This is non-union, right?
Yeah. Non-union.
So with non-union, you're staying with the same company, just different jobs that they have going on?
It depends. So you can stay with same companies, or you can just jump contracts freely. And that's the freedom that I did feel in that industry.
Yeah. Well, because for union, for me, it was, I was union lineman the entire time, and non-union was looked down upon. But different industries are different
Oh no, trust me. There's always that fight between union and non-union.
But like there's different reasons why people like some guys will say non-union because it's close to home and they want to work 40 hours a week, and that's cool, man. I'm not gonna.
Yep.
I used to want to shit on that. Right now, it's like I get it, man.
I get both sides.
Don't give a fuck about it.
Yeah.
When you're brought up union, it's the propaganda you're fed of.
Oh,
it's union or everyone else is an asshole. It's like it's not quite that black and white. So understanding how different trades work is cool to me, you know. But for us, the biggest difference was training and money. So like union, we would get paid a lot more money, go through a lot more training, and our safety record would reflect that, right? So we were
sure did.
we would have less big accidents, right?
Yep.
The non-union guys would have more accidents, more fatalities, more
bigger churn rate too on hires.
Yeah, and so like they would have the issues we would have less of. We still had the same issues,
right?
We would pride ourselves that we were better trained. We had less of those issues, right? So like when
less drugs, I noticed. Contract running. There was a lot of cocaine.
We had a lot of pre-employment drug testing.
Yeah,
the random drug tests, to me, in my opinion, were not random enough. They should have done more, but at least tried curbing it.
Yeah,
and if you had an accident and you were drug tested and you found it, you're out of there, right?
Right.
So there was a checks and balance system in there, but not as good as it could have.
Oh yeah, you just bounced the next contract with your independent.
So like for us, it was good, not great. But the non-union guys had none of that. So it was even way worse, you know? So like, you know, kind of cool seeing the different trades, you know?
Yeah.
How are we doing on time and mics and cameras and shit?
45.
How are we doing on cameras? Are you good? Okay. I see you fucking with them, and I wonder if that's bad or it's just you playing around.
I'm just messing around.
Just geeking out?
Yeah.
Love it. All right.
Cool. Yeah, one of the interesting things about unions too, so our contract work had run up for the non-union side, but the union side didn't. I didn't want to go home yet. I ended up reaching out to that union and saying, hey, I've been doing journeyman work over here.
Yeah.
Do you guys need help? You know, all that kind of stuff. And I had a meeting with them. I ran a weld test and they're like, listen, like we don't do this whole, like you're going to have to go through the apprenticeship stuff. And I'm like, listen, I'm not doing that. So like, I'm going to be out. And they're like, well, it's something rare. Don't talk about it with the guys. And I can't remember what they called it, but it was either white carding or
ticket?
Yeah.
Ticket,
like you just pass all that, right?
We have the same, so with linemen, we have the same thing. So like if you all you have to do is prove 7,000 hours in the trade and take a journeyman's test.
Okay.
If you could do both of those things and pass it, we would give you, they call it white ticketing. It's an old slang term from back in the day when they would give you a white ticket because we have yellow journeyman tickets.
Oh, okay.
So we get a white ticket to then prove yourself for 6 months, go in front of the examining board, and then get your yellow ticket. So a white ticket was a non-union guy that came over from non-union.
When I definitely didn't have those hours.
Right. So I know where they're coming from, and that process is probably similar across most trades.
Right.
But that's where that phrase comes from.
Okay.
So we have the same thing. For linemen, we frown upon it because, man, we know how the apprenticeship was and what we learned in that apprenticeship. So then have somebody just bypass it and just have the work. Like sometimes guys...
I was hated when a couple people found out.
See, like, again, now knowing what I know, in certain parts of the country, it's different. In Chicago, where I come from, we never let it happen. Because there was big enough unions and big enough, there was not much non-union competition.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to allow it. Here in Denver, it's 50-50.
Oh, really?
So if you can get a guy who is non-union to want to come work union, you'll take him. As long as he's not a complete bag of shit. If he can pass the test and prove the hours, you want him because addition by subtraction, right?
Right.
One less non-union guy on the union side.
Makes sense.
We encourage, that's called organizing.
Well, I was also 19.
Right. So like, I can see where the disconnect, so I can see both sides of it.
Yeah.
Having been somebody who works with a non-union guy that becomes a white ticket, sometimes you're not sure what that guy was trained on.
Yeah.
And some of his habits. And it's like, man, I know how I was taught. And I'm going to be in the same bucket as you up in the air. If you do something silly, I'm going to slap the shit out of you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like,
oh, yeah.
That's tough. But then you get to know the guy and it's okay. All right, cool. But there's a little bit of uneasiness sometimes because you don't know what the guy was, his bad habits.
Well, especially welders.
Well, see, welders, I don't know what that's all like, but like, I don't know if welding is going to endanger the guy next to you. Does it happen a lot, or is it as a big deal?
It's not as much of a big deal, I think, as linemen.
Okay.
But if you do have the guy next to you, to be honest, more of a helper where it could be a danger.
Okay.
Like when I would have helpers sometimes, I'm like, you're going to get us fired.
Yeah. See, for us, man, it was like quite literally the guy in the bucket with you.
Yeah.
Could be a white
100%.
And if he's grabbing shit, like, dude, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you with a goat wrench if I have to. Like, and make no qualms about it. But I'm also then forced to work with this guy. That's hard to swallow.
Yep.
But if it's a spot where, maybe the guy next to you is not really, if he's a crew down the street from me, I don't give a shit,
Right.
Be yourself by yourself,
piss
stay
off.
away from me,
Yeah.
But that's cool. It's a similar trade. So back to your current profession. What are some struggles you had starting out? What was your big, hey, I made it moment? And then I'm sure most success stories are not straight up, right? It's up and down. So
100%.
You make it. Let's talk about you first making it, first getting kicked in the dick, and then how you've gotten back to on top.
Well, and I'll even take another quick step back. I know we got time here, but
we're good on time.
In that difference, there were 3 years that I was in and out of living out of my car and homeless, moving around the country. I was just trying to figure it out. I went to a Thanksgiving dinner with my family on a in between contract type of thing. Go to a Thanksgiving dinner, and everybody. Now I'm started my self-development journey. I'm reading a lot. I'm realizing who I want to be. Nobody in my family is the type of people I want to be around.
Oh yeah,
and it's a weird feeling to get.
You went there. I bet I am there. Yeah,
yeah. I was gonna say it's probably a big topic with almost everybody that comes from this industry or the blue collar world, because you're now the person that's going to be breaking the mold or looking like a fucking fool.
Oh yeah.
And 2 days after that, I packed up my truck. I told my family, I didn't care to hear their opinions. I pack up my truck with everything that I'm going to need. And I tell them, hey, I got a contract down in Florida, tell everybody bye, give them hugs, peace. And I started driving down to Florida. I don't have any
Ohio?
job. Yeah, I don't have it. Because here's my realization. I'm going to go live out of my truck because I heard a quote. You don't get crazy rewards without crazy risks.
Oh yeah.
So what's the craziest thing I could do right now? That's literally what I thought.
Yeah.
And this isn't a business move. This is just what's the craziest thing I could do right now? I could go be homeless. By the way, my truck was not running too well.
Yeah.
6-0
Florida's not a
power
bad
strip.
spot to be if you're going to be homeless, right?
So that's where I'm like, I want to be in the warm.
I'm not going to South Dakota.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to fucking Florida. Yeah.
So I head down there. No job connections, no nothing. But the night I get there, I end up getting a job extremely quick. I take the weld test. They give me the job on the spot. Like I'm him, So that's cool. I get a job, but I'm living out of my car. I'm like lying to everybody about